Thank you, Madam Chair. As everyone is certainly aware, we began the fall semester with our Miller School closed down. And we are now at the point where we have to arrive at some decisions on the ultimate outcome of the building itself. And so we have put our efforts together and internally administratively on some what we believe are the 4 categories of options for the ultimate disposition of the Miller facility. Some pros and cons to each as we brainstorm that. But ultimately, we're now at the point where we want to hear some feedback and some direction from the board as well. So with that, tonight we have our Executive Director of Support Operations, Mr. Andy Knapp, who will walk us through the 4 categories of kinds of decisions we may ultimately make.
Okay, thanks. We'll start through this. Obviously, we're talking about the disposition of Miller Elementary School in May of 2025. This year was when the school had closed down. The final paperwork was filed in August of 26, and we'll have to look at some of these options and make a decision so we can go into our long range plan, which is due in November 25. One of the first options that we have are to mothball the school. Some of you might have heard this term around the state. Quite a few districts have exercised this practice. Some of the pluses and minuses with this, what this means is basically the school gets shut down and boarded up, but we retain the building in our inventory. And if it's mothballed, it's basically closed down and not in use. Some of the benefits to this is, of course, given this facility, it is adjacent to our facilities complex, our nutrition complex, and then of course directly across from the administration building and storage gym. So it's sort of in the center of this centralized campus that we have, so to speak. We also, it's second access into the facility and nutrition building, which, as you may or may not know, there are a lot of deliveries there on semis that come in, either off Pershing, up Maxwell, which is in front of our building that way, or from the north side of the Miller Elementary School. A little bit of information there for you. Maxwell, where it goes in front of our facility building, is not our property. So that parking lot that you might see between the National Guard there and our property, they let us use just to park on. That is not, we don't own anything there, and including the access. We have about half of that access to get in there. So this is kind of an important access to the backside of those properties. Some of the negatives on the mothballing is, of course, it stands a better chance of vandalism, potential vandalism, sitting there empty. It's an unsupervised building. We still have to maintain it. Couple things with mothballing: we can only have 2 schools mothballed at any given time, and they can only be for the duration of 3 years, unless we were to, propose a renewal of it of some sort for some reason at that time. But given the fact that we do have some buildings with the new construction coming up in the district, it's probably something to consider. And then, of course, if it's mothballed, if there's any future need for it, renovation costs probably increase the longer it sits there. So at the bottom of these, I'll go through them at the end, but each one sort of gives you the timeline, and they're gonna look pretty similar with the exception of one. So all of them are in the same timeline right now. If we were to mothball it in the 3 years, then we would have to make this decision again in 2028. The second option is to repurpose it. This would be repurposing it for the district. It would probably be for a non-educational support use of some sort. Whether or not, that leaves the options open to about anything that we would want to use it for or could use it for. Again, it's in a central location with some of our other support operation buildings. And it would have, similar purpose as those. Retaining the building for district use and availability. Of course, any of these options can be done in the future. This is an option that one of the benefits is probably that you could do any of the other options at any time going forward, beyond beyond now if we made that decision. And of course, have minimal ongoing costs. Part of this, by not mothballing, if it was repurposed, of course, it's an occupied building to some extent, where the maintained and watched a little closer. And would probably have a little bit less risk of some of that vandalism. Repurposing costs, of course, if you were gonna repurpose it for anything substantial, you would have, be uncertain of what funding that would be provided for that. So, and again, this one here in the timeline, it would go into our facility plan in November of this year, and then it's immediately available for district, for other use, repurposing use.
Immediately available after November.
It's available now,
It's
it would
available
just
now.
into our plan that's being repurposed. And then selling it, of course, is another option. I think this one's fairly self-explanatory. Of course, it eliminates all of our costs and risk as far as what we have in the building. It would reduce our building inventory. Some of the losses and negatives of that would be the fact that we lose that site in the center of the facility complex. And of course, we could potentially lose the north secondary access. Depending on how what the sale looked like, we could potentially have demolition costs. And then, of course, utilization of it's pretty uncertain. We wouldn't know what it would be, and we would lose, the practice field that we have there currently and playground. This one also would be, if this was the choice, it'd go into the facility plan now and would be available for sale or disposal immediately. Unless there were any exceptions we wanted to look at, such as retaining an easement through that north side or surveying that off as a separate piece of property to tie into that, so. That's what it looked like if we're gonna sell it. And then demolition. This one, of course, the timeline gets quite a bit longer. If we were to demolish it and retain the site, then of course we still have proximity to the facilities complexes, central district location. Reduces our ongoing costs because there's not a building there. And reduces our building inventory. Some of the negatives to that, of course, demolition costs, something that we would request funding through the SFD. So there's a little uncertainty in that. Also, this is a pre-97 building that if we were to sell it and we had demolition costs incurred from the state, they would recuperate those costs, so. Sorry, we're guessing something. And then, of course, if we retained the land but had demolished it, we could possibly repurpose it in the future. Again, there's always uncertainty on funding. Anytime we're looking at funding for potential district use of anything there, so that would also be a loss of the, the building in the neighborhood and the future utilization would be a little uncertain, I guess. On the demolition, I mean, that's whether or not we kept it for future use, right? So the uncertainty would come more from if we, on some of these, if we were to demolish it and sell the land at that point, or demolish it and look for different district use.
This building isn't a historic building that requires permission to knock it down.
Nope.
Andy, may I ask a question? If it were ever to be knocked down to demo it, does that money come from, I mean, we haven't gotten money from ARP yet, so that money would have to come from the state as well?
Yes.
To demolish
So- Yes, so this timeline, if you look at the 4 timelines on that, of course, mothballing it basically prolongs what you could do with it. It basically just sits there, right? So it's vacant. We incur some cost to maintain it. Repurposing it, we could do any of the others at any time. Of course, if you sell it, it's gone immediately. But then if you look at demolition, we'd have to make, if it went into our plan in November of this year, we'd have to have a public hearing. And so that would be in the interim of that, and then our funding request would go in next July 26, which would go to the session in 27. If they allocated the money for demolition, we would start demolition after July of 2027. So probably we'd still probably be involved in the building up through 2028. So with that, those are our four options. I can back up to any of them if you want to talk about them. Those are the timelines that it would look like. And if you have any questions about any of them, you can expand on them a little.
I'm sure. So on the mothball, in that 3-year period from 25 to 28. If something came up and the board wanted to, or the district wanted to do something else with it, could it roll into those other options during that 3-year period, or you're just locking it down for 3 years?
No, I believe you can pull it back out of that. I mean, it would be sitting there vacant, maintaining it. It would be similar, mothballing and repurposing, I think would be the same, right? Only repurposing, if you were thinking of those two, would be, it could be used for whatever we wanted during that time. If it's mothballed, it's just closed up and locked down.
Alright.
When it's over, again, where it shows in November of 2028, you'd have to make the decision to either repurpose it, sell it, or demolish it then.
Thank you.
Do we feel like there's things that we could do fairly quickly with repurposing it as is?
Yes, I think in repurposing it, for support use, we have quite a few different needs. We have to determine what we're going to do with that, but. We're pretty spread out in the district as far as support. Whether it's, storage type buildings, equipment buildings, some of our different support operations. We could probably find, well, we can definitely find a purpose, we just have to determine what it was going to be.
So if we went to repurposing, is my understanding correct, we cannot use it for educational purposes, but we could use it, like you're saying, for the storage, or, I mean, we couldn't move classrooms in there, could we have offices in there?
Correct. We could have offices in there, I don't know that we would choose to do that, we would not have any educational programs in there.
One thing that we've talked about a little bit is, oftentimes we have equipment that needs to be indoors, it needs to be stored in a safe space. But most of our buildings have kids in it, and some of those buildings, or some of those pieces of equipment, we don't necessarily want out in the open where kids may potentially hurt themselves or mess with those things. It's awful attractive to see a big piece of equipment in the gymnasium or in the lunchroom or something like that. So I know that support operations probably has several items that fit into that category that you don't want to just put out in a shed somewhere that you would want to get protected. And so when we talk about repurposing for special or support operations, I would imagine that it would be those kind of pieces. And
Yeah, well, so we have some equipment that has to remain heated or charged electrically. Some of them are scissor lifts. We have a couple other different kinds of lifts to go with that. The striping machines for parking lots, all that stuff has to stay heated over the winter. And some of them plugged in because they run on batteries. And we currently have those kind of just stuck in different spots. We actually keep lifts at some of the schools. Which creates a couple of problems, right? It's never needed at the one school that the lift's sitting at. And the other thing is sometimes we get contractors in that then end up on our lifts, or we get a coach or a teacher or a kid that takes the lift and uses it. So to, kind of reduce the risk of that happening, it'd be much better to have them in a central location where we took them to where they would be probably.
I could also imagine if we were to repurpose that over time, we may repurpose for lots of different reasons that evolve over time as well. And for a while, it might be, we might have some equipment storage needs. If we do big adoptions of some of our major curriculum areas, we always have massive numbers of supplies that we've got to eventually get out to buildings and having a good place to stage some of those things. So the repurposing, I think, gives us some flexibility. We've given you a couple of examples, but it could be a lot of other ones as well.
When we have new buildings, a lot of times truckloads of furniture come in early before they go in the building. And we look for places to put that, as well as we have a storage place out near the transportation complex that we keep standard furniture in for replacements and changing out that sometimes gets overfull.
And he could, the electric, could Miller stand to support some electrical needs, like those batteries and stuff that would need to be plugged in? Can they support that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they're pretty good.
Oh, okay.
And if we were to repurpose it, we could at a later date decide to mothball it or sell it, right? I mean,
Or even
we could-
demolish it.
or
Yeah.
demolish it. We could
Yes.
change course down the road if the district wanted. to.
Yes, if it's currently being repurposed and essentially under our control, I guess, at any time that could be done.
Mr. Knapp. I was just curious, do you happen to know the cost of maintaining that building on an annual basis
If it's shut down, basically like for
for the repurpose?
repurposing. I don't know that exact cost. I mean, I can probably go Jen and find out exactly what that is, but it would be pretty minimal because heat and it's gonna reduce our insurance costs not using it. We're still gonna have to insure the building, but we don't have it with the same purpose utilization, and we don't have, as far as heat goes in there, it's probably going to be a set point of 50 degrees year round or somewhere in there rather than being heated in the winter and not cool in the summer.
Madam Chair, I believe Mr. Ciccarelli might have some data.
Trustee Clausen, I believe utilities, while it's occupied, are running about $40,000 a year. Certainly with a setback vote, it would probably be a little bit less, and then the insurance would probably be a little bit different if we don't have a lot of equipment on the instructional side. But if we have utilities, or excuse me, equipment from the facility side, those would be carried in insurance. But I would say roughly $40,000 just to keep it heated, electricity and water.
It's about the same, you think?
Yeah, give or take, especially with increasing utilities, the costs lately.
Thank you.
And what would the cost be to be mothballed? Because your number was for repurpose utilities. What would our numbers be if we just mothball the building for cost?
Trustee Burton, I think it would probably be virtually the same. I think either way, we don't receive routine maintenance for the building, so I would say they'd be pretty equivalent, as Mr. Knapp explained. It wouldn't be occupied in the sense that we wouldn't have people utilizing the building. It would just be for storage, so they'd be pretty similar.
Thank you.
So of all of the buildings that are currently on the list of not to be unused here in the next 10, 15 years, I think it makes the most sense for me to repurpose this one. I can have very different conversations about some of the others. But because of where it is, because it has property around it, I don't really understand the point of mothballing it. Sorry. So to me, I think repurposing makes a lot of sense for this particular building.
And maybe if I just add on to that, it's easy when we think of Miller to think of the building itself, but to Andy's point and also to yours, Trustee Ashby, the land around it is a consideration as well. How we use it for our kids as Miller Field, how we use it for access, what we could potentially do in the future with some of our educational programming, not on the inside of Miller, but on the outside of Miller. We often have a lot of outdoor projects with outdoor rec kind of things, science labs, current technical education. There's probably some considerations for the land separate from the inside of the building, which to your point, I think is very different with this particular school compared to probably any other school in town.
Couple questions. Do you have to deal with it, building and land? Could you ever separate it?
You could, yeah, as far as like.
Like repurpose part and sell part, or?
Yes, you could. So you could, there's any option you wanted, but obviously you could keep the north access and sell the rest of it or repurpose the rest of it. And retain that north access just for the facility complex, or you could probably split, keep the building, or if something was, something was ever decided to be put out where Miller Field is, you could probably keep that and suppose get rid of the building in the middle if you wanted. I mean, you pretty much can do about anything you want with it.
In our work session, and you and I had this conversation about, it breaks my heart when I drive past and see that playground equipment. And I know that I was hopeful that there might be some way that we could offer it up to some for free and say, we're not liable for this, but is that a possibility ever? I mean, to offer it up to a church or another school or.
So I will tell you, anytime we've tried to move equipment, either it wouldn't recertify or it cost as much for by the time they took it out and moved it and
To buy
reset it
new.
all. So it was the same cost for us to buy new equipment. We run into that quite often. We could look into it a little bit more. I know we've talked a little bit about whether or not we could give it away. I don't know. My concern would be the liability if even though and this would probably be a Amy Polly question or somebody, but if we were to say, you can come and take it and they took it and reset it and something happened, I don't know if any of that reflects on us. So I'd be a little concerned about giving away playground equipment. And a lot of times it's not all the same age at a school because we've added it over the years. Or we replaced one piece but not others that didn't recertify. So, we run into some of that too.
I don't think it's that old. I mean, I would kind of remember.
It's not that old.
Yeah,
For us to move it, I can tell you, we probably can put in new equipment for about the same cost to give it away. If it was voted that we can give it away and we gave it away and it doesn't make the district liable in any way, then what it would matter.
If we mothballed or repurposed or demoed the building, though, that playground equipment probably would come out, right? Otherwise, we keep some liability if it's still there and on our property.
We do, and again, I think probably though, Ms. Polly and I talked about this once, is it should do it into a park, so I might ask her about that, but we actually would not have liability. I think if we kept it there, we would probably maintain it as long as we could until we knew that it we were unable to maintain it. I can tell that, but there's probably some options there. The field, of course, we could keep the field. That probably is pretty easy.
So, Mr. Rock, if we did the repurpose, the building would be maintained to some degree, right? So would you foresee also keeping that playground equipment and the fields also maintained? Because if we're gonna be using the fields, people use the playground when we use the fields. I mean, I know when we did like football out there, flag football, little kids were always playing in the playgrounds and all that kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah, we would maintain everything. We have been this summer, it's been getting mowed and taken care of, so we would maintain it just like we would any other buildings.
So we obviously can't vote in the executive session, but can we share how people are leaning on this? I mean, just so that the admin team has I believe we need to vote on something
Yeah,
in our next meeting, right?
Madam Chair, if I may, because we have to write this into our long-range facility plan, that's what's, aside from just the natural course of events that we would say, hey, what are we doing with the Miller facility? We have to write it into our, long-range facility plan, which is coming up here in a few weeks. So it would be, our hope that we could get, enough of a sense, as Madam Chair said, we don't, vote in work session. But, if we could get enough of a sense of where we're at, that we could put a motion together for our next board meeting. Which of course, would be quick to add, you could always amend if you care to, and you could also choose to either vote the motion up or down. But our hope would be that we could get a motion for our next board meeting in light of the feedback we received in this work session.
have you heard from people that live around the area, or I was curious if Mrs. Lenhart, I don't want to put you on the spot, but if people have called in and said, what's going on with Miller, or this is my thoughts on Miller?
I have not heard from anybody, with the exception of potential developers wanting property. But nobody in the neighborhood.
Trustee Cook, I had not heard from any neighbors. I too have heard from some that would like us to gift them the property.
I just want to be cognizant. I mean, they were heartbroken when that school closed, so I would love to see their thoughts too, so.
Brittany, you mentioned you would be in favor of repurposing.
I think that leaves the most flexibility, in my opinion. We get to a point, we could still do any of the other three. To me, that makes the most sense.
And I think.
As Mr. Knapp was talking, the one that really struck out to me was also repurposing. And like trustee Ashby said, the location and with all the other administrative and support offices nearby. And the fact that we have other options somewhere down the road. I'm leaning towards repurposing at this time.
And we can still use the field and, the property as we need to, so I don't know, I just think. At this particular junction, it'd be silly to get rid of it. Immediately.
Would agree. Trustee Clausen. I think that's a majority.
What's that?
I think there's a majority.
Repurpose, I would do.
Repurpose as well.
So it sounds like you would have the support for the important motion at your next meeting to repurpose the facility.
So we will draft that motion accordingly. And with that, if there are no other questions, that ends our work session topic for the
Anybody else? Okay. Well, and it's 5:30. You want. End our work session and reconvene in 30 minutes.
Good evening at 6 p.m. and I'd like to call this meeting of the Laramie County School District #1 Board of Trustees to order. If you'd please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Hi, I'm Mindy Lloyd. I'm a first grade teacher at Gilchrist Elementary School. This is my class and we're going to recite the Pledge of Allegiance for you today. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dr. Newton, do we have any adjustments to tonight's agenda?
Madam Chair, we have no adjustments to this evening's agenda.
Do we have a motion?
Madam Chair, I move to adopt the agenda.
I second.
So a motion and a second to adopt the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that's been adopted. We're going to start out tonight with student recognitions. We have 2 Student of the Week honorees this evening. Sorry, let me get to the right screen here. The first student tonight that we'll be recognizing for the week of October 27th is Zeman Collins. Zeman is a senior at Central High School. If we could have Zeman and Principal Karen Delbridge and favorite teacher Mary Eisenart come forward, please.
I'm gonna stand in for Karen.
Perfect.
Yes, you do.
Okay.
Oh, you up and do the board meetings if you don't know this.
And so I get the honor, my name is Nicholas Lamp, I'm the associate principal at Central High School. And I get the honor to introduce Colin Zemans. He is our student of the week for October 27th. So Zemans stands out as a top student in his class with an impressive weighted GPA of 4.383. He takes pride in being a great student who shows up consistently and completes his assignments in a timely manner. To prepare for the rigorous college, he has challenged himself by enrolling in some of the most demanding courses offered at Central. And his favorite teacher is Miss Mary Eisenhart, which would be his math teacher. And I will let him explain a little bit about himself. Yes, okay. You want that one? Yeah. Okay.
Okay, activities that I'm involved in school, so. What?
Mr. Dr. News, give me a little.
It's all yours.
Okay, I play tennis, and soccer, and then hockey, which is not in school, but I'm involved in 3 National Honor Societies. For National Honor Society, I'm the vice president. And for National Honor Society for Science, I'm the vice president as well. And then I was the treasurer last year. And then I joined French National Honor Society this year. I'm involved in Key Club and DECA. DECA is like a business leadership club and Key Club is volunteering. Academic strengths, I just like to get my stuff done. I don't procrastinate. Other interests outside of school, I play the piano. I played the piano since I was like 5 years old. And my future plans, I want to go to college. I'm not sure where yet, but I'm going to major in finance and data analytics. And I want to be an investment banker.
And why did you pick Miss Eisenhart as your favorite teacher?
That is a good question. No. Miss Eisenhart is my favorite teacher because she brings out the best in everyone, no matter the circumstances. She helps all of her students overcome obstacles and then provides a safe space when needed to certain students. Not only is she an amazing math teacher, but she truly cares. She can tell when something is wrong and goes out of her way to make sure everything is all right. Another reason why she's my favorite is because she makes class very enjoyable. We have some very intense roast battles. For example, one time I threatened to drop her class and she said, "Don't threaten me with a good time," and I quote. I'll have to admit she won this one, but like that's the only one she ever won. all jokes aside, Miss Eisenhardt is the best teacher I could ask for, and I'm very grateful to have her every day at school.
No.
And then you come right over here. Yep.
Go stand up.
All.
Do you have family or friends in the audience who are here to support you?
So his mom and dad are actually in Thailand,
Oh.
and so they
okay.
couldn't make it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very few with twos.
Okay. Good. We'll move on to our next student of the week. This student is being recognized for the week of November 3rd, so this week right now. And gosh, guys, names are sometimes hard to pronounce. Is it Helena or did I do it? Helena Brennan is a senior at South High School. Helena, if you would come forward along with your principal, Carrie Gentry, and favorite teacher, Keiko Hiranaka. So-
Madam Chair, Dr. Newton, Board, thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm Principal Carrie Gentry over at South. And it is, my favorite day is to celebrate our students. And so a couple things about Helena. I found out that she was nominated not because she's an amazing student, because of her contribution to our community at South. She is the perfect student that represents the herd. She's involved in National Honor Society, leadership, band. There's more. Help me out. Oh my gosh, I already messed up. Cheer, color guard. There's more. What am I missing? Art club. That was it. In art club. I think that was the one. That was the last one. All right, I'm doing my best. So overall, really just, is this out or did you turn down the volume? Because it was aggressive. Okay. It was just sort of like an audio shift. And so first, I would like to have Helena first talk about her experience at South, and then we'll have Miss Keiko talk as well. Does that work? Okay.
I don't know what to say. Just say something about South. I don't know what to say.
You want to know?
Yeah. I don't know what to.
What's your favorite thing about being a student at South High School?
I really like how many things I get to do, like how, I don't know. Oh, I can't talk in front of people, I'm sorry. Like, I feel like I get a lot of opportunities through like color guard and everything. And like, we have a lot of classes where I can like explore more opportunities than just basic, like base level classes and stuff like that.
And what is your favorite outside of classroom opportunity that you have enjoyed this year?
Color guard, for
Why
sure. I feel like it's like a family for me. Like, I kind of get a second family through school and I really like that.
See, student of the week. I mean, here we go. All right, go ahead, Miss Keiko. What can you kind of speak
I
towards?
just wanted to add that, I mean, Helena is obviously involved in a lot here at South, but she's also an amazing student. So as her math teacher, our herd values are honorable, enthusiastic, responsible, and determined. And she emulates those every day. She's honorable. She comes to school prepared, ready. She's enthusiastic in making sure that she understands the material to her best understanding. She'll ask questions, good questions, deep questions, make sure she really digs into the material. She's responsible in the fact that she's there every day, including today, which was senior ditch day. And she also comes prepared. She gets her homework done on time and in so that I can grade it. And I think my favorite quality about Helena is that she's determined. No matter what she's going through, she just pushes through and she makes sure that she's getting things done and she does them well to the best of her ability. And so I think that it's a great honor that she is student of the week and she definitely deserves it.
And even though Helena is the biggest cheerleader for everyone she supports, we also have her family, Jill and Joe. Can you please stand up? Because I know you're her biggest cheerleader.
Well, congratulations to our students and their favorite teachers. Western Vista Federal Credit Union also sponsors awards for Student of the Week. So at this time, I would invite Christina, is it Krantz, Marketing Manager, to come and say a few words. Thank you.
All right, good evening. As she said, I'm Christina Kranz. I am from Western Vista Credit Union. I am the marketing manager there. Western Vista is proud to celebrate the both of you, Zeman and Helena, two outstanding students who embody leadership, determination, and excellence. Your dedication, persistence, and drive to reach your goals have not gone unnoticed. In recognition of your achievements, we're delighted to present you with a certificate of achievement and a gift card. You've worked hard for this, and we're excited to see where your talents and ambitions will take you next. We'd also like to extend our appreciation to the teachers you've chosen. Exceptional mentors leave a lifelong mark, and we're happy to present them with a certificate of appreciation as well, and a gift card as a small token of gratitude for the difference that they've made in your lives. Congratulations and best wishes.
We'll just get a picture. Congratulations. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Of course. Oh, no.
They've gotten so big. No.
Oh, Francie. Loves her mother. I mean, her mom came to Francie's shower when she had her shower. Yeah. Yeah. They're so sweet. Yeah, when we told her it was twins, she was like, no.
Not doing that.
Sorry.
We'll move now into the information and report section of our agenda. Starting with public comments. First concerning agenda topics and second concerning non-agenda topics. The purpose of the board meeting is to conduct the business of the district publicly. The board sincerely values community input and feedback on school operations and welcomes public comment on both agenda and non-agenda items. Individuals wishing to comment during a board meeting must sign up by 5:45 p.m. on the day of the meeting. Sign up for public comment can be done electronically by accessing the form available on board docs under the public comment portion of the meeting agenda. Alternatively, individuals may also contact Darlene Davis to be added to the electronic sign-up sheet. We will begin by hearing public comment on agenda items, followed by public comment on non-agenda items. Please keep in mind this is a time for board members to listen and consider, but not to comment or debate. The board asks that all speakers state their first and last name, keep their comments to 3 minutes or less, and note that if you wish to discuss matters pertaining to the employment of a district staff member, such as the appointment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, investigation, discipline, or dismissal of an employee, that this will not be done during the public comment portion of the meeting. Such comments should be directed to the Executive Director of Human Resources, or you may request to meet with the board during executive session. And with that rule where it says state your first and last name, I would like to note we have quite a few students who have signed up to speak tonight. And we will not ask you to state your first and last name. If you'd like to just give us your initials, that would be great, but we'd like to protect your privacy with that. So looking at these signups, We did not, at the start of the meeting, we didn't have anybody signed up for public comment concerning agenda items. But we do have a full slate of folks signed up for non-agenda items. So to start, I would like to ask a student whose initials are SP to come forward and share with us.
Ready? Good evening, board. My name is Shay Prime, and I'm a senior at East High School, and I would like to speak on my experience of the J Foundation. To the board and all the parents that are listening or watching, I think the J Foundation is such a crucial experience to be involved in when you're a senior in high school. The foundation raises awareness for suicide, and it really crushes the stigmatism of suicide almost being diminished in our society. I feel like it's something that's not talked about. I feel like a lot of people go unnoticed about it until it's too late. And I feel like that's what the J Foundation taught me as an adult going into my college years. Me personally, I know for my major, I want to study psychology, and eventually I want to get my doctorate and specialize in clinical psychology and help people across the United States and hopefully the world for their mental health struggles. I want to reach so many people and make so many impacts on lives like Jay's, to know that it is okay to not be okay, and it is okay to reach out, and it is okay to have struggles. I want to end off by saying a message that my psychology teacher has told me in my classes. He told me that mental health is not your fault, but it is your responsibility. Your mental health does not define you, and it is your responsibility to know that these struggles are okay, and it is okay to navigate through them, and it's okay to reach out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Our next speaker is another student with the initials of HJ.
Boy. Good evening, board. I know you said I was not required to state my name, but I don't know, I have a big head or something. So my name is Heath Johnson. I am from Cheyenne East High School. I'm a senior. I would like to also talk about my experience with the J Foundation today, and I would like to say ditto to everything SP said back there. She did a wonderful job of conveying what I was going to say, so that was wonderful. But I do think the one thing I do have to add in comparison to what she had stated was when I went to the J Foundation, the last phase of our J Foundation journey, as they called it, was to sit around in a nice little circle in these chairs that they had set up and to talk about, what is the solutions going forward? What should we talk to you about? How do we address these tough topics of suicide and suicidal thoughts with our peers? And they gave us a lot of great responses on, well, just make sure to check in and just realize that no matter how great somebody seems up front, to check deep down how they're really feeling. And I really thought that was a great message that they brought home. But the one thing that I found concerning that has nothing to do with the J Foundation failing its mission of making more awareness of suicide, but more of a failure on society as a whole, is the fact that we don't really have that solution. They tell us to report these, suicidal thoughts or tell somebody about these, a trusted adult or someone that you trust close to you, a family member. But when you get to that stage, you want to see that person in your life get better. And when you fail to see that, it really does hurt. I know from personal experience with some of my peers that I've talked to, it is sad to see when we get them there, or you have to go tell an adult about the things that happen. And that person's like, oh, please don't tell anybody, please. Please, I don't want you to do that. And then you have to go and do that because you got to make that tough decision, that tough time. I'm currently enlisted in the Army National Guard, and they teach you about making those tough decisions. And that's one of the toughest decisions you ever have to make in life, is talking about something that deep with a trusted adult. But the fact that we don't know how we can make it actually better for this person is something that's really sad to see. But I'm glad to see the J Foundation is putting it out there on how to make people more aware about suicide. Sort of on a side note, Dr. Newton, my father is the AFJROTC commander at East High School, And I know he was really wanting a visit from you, so if you could get in contact with him, that would be wonderful. Other than that, that is all I have to say on the board this evening. Thank you all very much. Have a good night.
He's making a note to call Colonel Johnson. All right, our next student speaker is RA.
Good evening. My name is Reagan Allen, and I'd just like to thank you guys for inviting us out tonight to share our experience about the J Foundation. And the previous two East High students have echoed exactly what I would say about the J Foundation. It ultimately was an amazing experience to not only connect with our peers in our own grade about mental health issues that are surrounding us so much, but also just bringing awareness to that. Currently in my FFA program, I have competed in a competition where I have done extensive research on the grassroots cause of adolescent agricultural depression and how we can kind of mitigate that risk of mental health and the mental health issues specifically in the agriculture industry. But when I experienced the J Foundation and that whole experience, it really brought to my attention that everybody does want to help everyone involved. Through that study, I found that so many individuals today are struggling with mental health issues. And after going through the J Foundation, it really opened my eyes that all of our peers are there for us to support each other, and everyone's there to support us. And so I just urge everybody to get that experience, to go into the J Foundation, connect to those peers around you, and really connect with those that maybe who are struggling. Because personally, I know that we went into small groups. And I only went with 17 other individuals in my grade, but that was super eye-opening just to see that those 17 other individuals, if I ever need help, those are people that I can turn to. And I would hope that the same will go to everybody else in that group, because we did get that experience with each other, going through that process and understanding that mental health is okay to talk about. So I just want to thank the board for allowing us as students to go through this experience. And I urge everybody that if they haven't gotten that experience, to go through that, because it really is eye-opening. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Reagan. Our next student signed up to speak is AM.
Good evening, board and the community listening and watching in online and in person. I'm also here to talk about my experience with the J Boot Foundation and the impact they had on me and the impact I saw with those that went with me on this journey through the J Boot Foundation. And the J Boot is focused around Jay, who wore his boots day in, day out, in his shorts and his jeans. It didn't matter. That's what boots meant to him. And that's why the J Boot Foundation focuses on their boots and their boot check-ins, which they taught us about. And that's what my boots mean to me. It builds a sense of community with those around you and brings up that mental health that is such a hard topic to talk about with those older than you, younger than you, and with your peers. And so with the foundation, it's really just brought to light what an amazing community we have, to where we as a district have been able to partner with the foundation and get all of these seniors the opportunity to not only get an amazing free pair of boots, which I know we are also thankful for, but to hear more about the mental health that is such an issue in today's society, specifically in the Western parts of America, where we do focus on, that tough grit, you hide your feelings, you push them down. And the boot check-in really just tries to move past that, check in with those around you, check in with those in your community, whether you're friends, you see them every other day, or they're those, that you see every single day, your family. And so that is the impact I want to have through the J Boot Foundation and that they've had on me and those around me. It's something where we can come together as a community, check in on one another, and really focus on what our mental health means to us now and how we can improve it in the future, just like some of my fellow East peers have mentioned before me. So thank you, board, and thank you, district, for allowing us this opportunity to partner with the foundation and to bring such an amazing experience to so many children. And I hope we can continue this for the generations after us, because it is such an incredible experience to go through and learn about Jay, learn about how the foundation came to be and the years that it took for them to decide what is truly going to represent Jay's life and truly have that impact on the community. So I just want everybody to know how amazing the foundation is and, to check in on one another. Thank you.
Our next individual is not a student. I don't see him in the room, but perhaps he's online, and that is Steve Johnson.
I'm sure I don't see that name.
Nobody's online. Okay, then we will move right along.
We have two more.
Two more students. Yes. Okay, so our next student is CV.
Good evening. I want to share my experience that I had with Jace Foundation and kind of what I think, how it impacted my school in general. So I am a senior at South High School, and one thing that really stuck out to me was at the end, they asked us to check in on someone that we loved, and because one of a huge idea, sorry, was that we never know what people are really going through. And so at the end, they asked us to reach out to someone at the end, and I did. And I have a friend who currently is a freshman in college, and I know she has been struggling with mental health. And I reached out to her, and I think it didn't just help her, but also helped me because it let her know that there's someone for her, and it also, in return, it's kind of like a reciprocated moment. I know that she's there for me whenever I need help. And then as a school in general, I was super surprised because a lot of people spoke out about mental health, especially people that usually don't talk about their feelings. And I think that really stood out to me because Jace Foundation, it kind of just opened a space where we could just talk about our feelings. And I was just really surprised about how serious everyone took it. And I just got to hear a lot about other students, students that I'm with every day, and I never get to hear what's going on in their lives. And they kind of just shared some things that have been going on in their life. And yeah, it was just really impactful. And I think it was just a huge reminder that we have a whole community behind us. After the Jace Foundation, I know I talked to a lot of students and I asked them how the experience went for them. And a lot of them stated that it was just a huge reminder that everyone's here for each other. We can all count on each other. And I like to always brag about the community we have at South. We're all a huge community. We all support each other, but that moment really brought our seniors together. And it was just a beautiful thing to see. And I really hope we can continue doing this. I'm excited for next year's seniors, and it was a great experience. So thank you. Thank you for listening, and thank you to Jace Foundation.
The next individual signed up to speak is a student with the initials of BM.
Hello, good evening, board. I just wanted to share with you guys how thankful I am for the J Booth Foundation. I know personally it's difficult to talk about mental health, and I know that for so many others it's also difficult if you feel like you have nobody around you. But this foundation really found a way to shine a light on it and let us all remember that we're all loved and we have somebody to talk to. With this, I've noticed a change in our class of 2026. We've really just bonded over it more. Like, I've seen more conversations in the classrooms about mental health being brought up, and I've seen like kids from East and Central also talk about their J boots and what they mean to them. So I think it's a really great way to bring our community together.
So thank you.
Thank you.
We have one more individual signed up for public comment, and I'll get to that in a minute. But for all of you students who spoke, did you wear your boots tonight? I noticed a few, but awesome. All right, and last but not least is Mr. Dylan Ford.
I didn't want to follow all those students. Madam Chair, members of the board, My name is Dylan Ford, and I'm speaking on a matter that's becoming urgent for many of our students and families. And I'm talking about the government shutdown and the impact that that will have on some of our most vulnerable kids. Our families right now relying on SNAP benefits. We'll be feeling the strain this month because initially the plan with the government shutdown, the removal of funds, those SNAP benefits were just going to go away. As of today, President Trump announced that emergency reserves will be used to partially fund SNAP, which is great, but that fund is only around 5 billion, and just to fund the month of November is 9 billion. So that means that those families are really going to take a hit, and there's a high probability of kids showing up to school hungry. And I can tell you that students who are hungry are not thinking about algebra or grammar, they're just thinking about food. So what can we do? Right now, our town's food banks are the first line of defense, and they are already feeling the strain. I'm asking everyone in this room and watching online to please donate to our local food banks like Needs. Cans are great, but money is actually better because they can buy a lot more food with your $10 than you can buy with your $10. So please consider donating food or your time to volunteer. Additionally, Friday Food Bags is a fantastic way to make sure that our kids who are experiencing food insecurity will have something to eat over the weekend when school isn't in session with school lunch and school breakfast. They're always appreciative of both money donations and volunteers. And as far as district action, it would benefit the students and the staff who serve them to make sure that we have a plan in place to make sure that the food service that we provide covers the students who are going to need that food the most if this shutdown continues in the long term. Because waiting for Washington politicians to figure out their stuff, it really just involves a lot of waiting. So if we had our own plan, that'd be great. So thank you.
Thank you, Dylan. Next on the agenda is board communications and reports and upcoming meetings. This Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. there will be a parent advisory committee meeting here in the boardroom. On Tuesday, November 11th, from 12 to 1, we will have a board planning meeting. I don't think we have anyone signed up for that one yet, but that's next Tuesday. We could have 2 board members who might be able to attend that. Trustee Cook. And, oh, I'm so sorry. So that's actually at 1 o'clock that day. We have some learning sessions next week. So it would be immediately following that. So, okay, so Trustee Cook and Trustee Burden, you're both available at 1 o'clock? Okay. And then on Monday, November 17th at 6 p.m., we'll have a regular board meeting. November 19th through the 21st is the WSBA annual conference up in Casper. I believe that Darlene has all but one of us registered for that at this time. So if you're not able to go, let Darlene know quickly because there is a cancellation fee even at this point in the game. So, but that is it for November. So now we'll move into individual board communications and reports. Does anybody have anything they'd like to share tonight? Sorry, Trustee Ashby.
Madam Chair, so I attended the Wyoming School Boards Association board meeting last weekend before. And so some of you or all of you got forwarded the revised resolutions that came out. There were only 2 resolutions that were submitted to WSBA to be formally voted on by the membership at that conference. Because ours really held 2 components to it. A component to put a cap on the number of days that the hearing had to be completed, as well as the ability to put people on unpaid leave under certain circumstances. The board of WSBA asked that they be separated out because there were more concerns. I did meet with Amy today. I am going to nothing, unless you all have feedback for me that there was a problem. I didn't think it substantially changed anything in the resolutions. And Amy and I met today and we're just adding some definition to what qualifies as reasons based on state statute for putting people on unpaid leave if they are charged with a crime. And so I am going to add that language in through an amendment, as long as everybody's good with that. But that is what I have for an update on that particular issue. I also have a couple of other things. Anybody have any questions on that?
No. Trustee Clausen.
Madam Chair, trustee, sorry, Ashby, I wanted to call you by your first name.
I know.
Would you explain to our public that the nature of the resolution is not, it's so that the WSBA can advocate if passed by the WSBA,
Yep.
it would be part of their advocacy.
Correct. So the way the resolutions work is that if there is an issue that the districts, any of the districts in the state identify as a potential issue, we put together a resolution. Our resolution specifically focuses on when there is a significant issue with an employee and that employee heads towards potential termination. There's a series of steps that have had the possibility of causing pretty significant issues for the districts and very honestly, and the employee. And so we submitted a resolution to WSBA that would then advocate for changes to state statute. Because it is an issue that would have to be changed in state statute. And so if the membership votes to add it to that sort of advocacy agenda, then they would then advocate for changing that. But it would have to go through legislature, it has to be updated, and then have to come back out to the district. So this is just a step in the process. So we did discuss that. The other piece, the other resolution that was submitted had to do with the timing of reimbursement for special ed, significant special ed costs, which is a really big deal, particularly for our small districts across the state. And so the other thing that was discussed at that board meeting was just is something that you've probably seen come out from WSBA as well, is they have been sitting in the meetings with the State Board of Education on the changes to graduation requirements, for lack anyway. So they have added 8 kind of pieces that will be implemented, or that they'll encourage implementation of. But the indicators that they have on those will be determined, the level of the competency for each of those will be determined by each district as it is set right now. They then started a conversation on making those part of the accountability structure, which is going to be real tricky. And so it is something that we probably do want to pay attention to as it moves forward. I know Dr. Newton and his staff are watching as well, but it could potentially mean some pretty substantial changes. So we need to kind of watch when we're talking about accountabilities. It's the pieces where Mr. Jackson just worked with schools on the improvement plans and those kind of things, but adding those in is going to be tricky, particularly if there's the ability to set different standards. So that's what I know.
Thank you for the updates. Trustee Cook.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I think many of us went to the J Foundation, and it was an amazing thing, but I wanted to just recognize Chris Zimney, who coordinated it all. I mean, that was from October 20th through the 30th and 8:30 to 4 o'clock, and he had seniors coming in, and I was there a couple of times, and on the last day I was going to help pack up the boots, and another student wanted to come in, and so he was flexible enough to do that. So, and it was my understanding, and I sure hope I don't step on Dr. Newton's toes, but 60% maybe of seniors and participated, which I think is amazing. And I think it's a cool thing that we're addressing this because it's a problem in Wyoming. And then Julie Mackey, she was the Wyoming Outreach Coordinator, and she did an awesome job too. So it's just such a worthwhile organization. And also, I think we need to keep in the back of our minds the people in our community that are donating to this, so our seniors can get these boots. And I just pray that it's a program that can continue. So thank you.
Anybody else? No. Done here? No. I just, students were incredible at expressing about the J Foundation, the presentation and the impact on them. I had the opportunity last week to also sit through one of those and was so grateful for the invitation to come and be a part of that. But I really was just blown away, really quite moved by what I heard during that presentation and what I saw even in the kids as they sat listening to that. And, you could, they were so attentive and really, just holding on to what was being shared, but to see even the emotion in the room with some of the kids who clearly were maybe struggling. It was quite an experience, but I would hope as well, Trustee Cook, that it's something that our community can continue to get behind and our district will continue to allow. My understanding is that all of the funding for those boots was raised locally and that their goal is to do the presentation and present every senior in Wyoming and I believe Idaho with each year with a pair of boots and to have them come through that presentation and receive boots. But all the money for each pair of boots is raised in the local community. And there was a banner up during those presentations just of local businesses and organizations that contributed and really a huge community effort to bring that in for our students. So I'd love to hear from the kids tonight and to hear their own, thoughts on it, but it was something. So that was really a highlight for me to be able to see that program in action. So, but at this time, I will turn it over to Dr. Newton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a few items this evening. First, as far as upcoming recognitions, the week of November 11th through 15th is National School Psychology Week. And speaking of mental health and awareness, very appreciative for all of the work of our school psychologists. Also, on November 11th, we will be celebrating Veterans Day. November is also National Veterans and Military Families Month. You can expect to see a wide range of programming throughout our schools, but additionally, I think a very sincere and deep sense of gratitude from all of us in the school district for all those who've served our country. If I can echo a little bit about the J Foundation, Mr. Zemny told me that there were 603 seniors who received boots. As I just checked on my calendar though, the thank you to Mr. Zemny for all of this goes back a few years actually, but specifically for this event, we had a meeting on March 18th. That's when this work really began for Mr. Zemny and all those who did all the heavy lifting. And so it's certainly easy to see how well the event went October 20th through the 30th. But if we go back in time all the way to March 18th, that's where the work really began. So Chris, appreciate your unrelenting efforts for not only the J Foundation, but the cause that is underneath it. We know that your heart and your mind and your work ethic is squarely behind helping kids in this community. And I certainly would be remiss if I didn't mention that. How incredibly articulate and insightful our kids were this evening on this topic. They probably said it better than any of us could. So special thank you to our kids for coming forward this evening to show their appreciation. There is one other item, it is related to new business item D 3.4, but it's not connected to the actual motion. There may be some question in the public's mind as we are starting to pass motions on ARP Elementary. The question continues to come up, where are we at on the demolition of ARP? And so just a brief update here, Andy can certainly correct me if he needs to. The money for the demo of ARP was actually formally requested by the school district through the school facilities department in their budget that will be presented for approval in this upcoming 2026 legislative session, which is only just a month or two away. So the request was previously approved by the school facilities, and also the commission. But we are waiting for that final allocation this spring. So that demolition will be done in conjunction with the actual building of the school. And obviously the contractor will be coordinating efforts with the demolition and the construction. We at this point, if that money comes through as hoped, there will be no conflict in getting the demolition done nearly concurrently with the construction. So as I said, it's not connected to tonight's motion, but it is certainly related. So I thought I would share that as well. And with that, Madam Chair, that is the end of my reports for the evening.
Thank you. Does anyone have questions for Dr. Newton on any of that? Okay. We will move into the consent agenda portion of our agenda. All agenda items listed with the designation of CA are considered to be routine items by the governing body and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items. Any item removed from the consent agenda will be considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. Does any board member request to remove a motion from the consent agenda? Okay, do we have a motion?
Madam Chair, I move to approve all motions listed as consent agenda.
I second. So we have a motion and a second to approve all motions listed as consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that has been approved. Going down to new business, we have 4 items tonight.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the denial of the governmental claim filed by Darlene Adele Moffett in the amount of $500,000.
I second. So I have a motion and a second to approve the denial of the governmental claim that's been filed. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that has been approved.
Madam Chair, I move to grant permission for East Band to fundraise for their trip to the Music in the Parks in Denver, Colorado on May 8th, 2026 to May 9th, 2026.
Second. We have a motion and a second to grant permission for East Band to fundraise for their trip to Music in the Parks. Do we have any discussion or questions on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that's been approved.
Madam Chair, I move to grant permission to contract for translation services with TransPerfect for an amount not to exceed $75,000.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second to grant permission to contract for translation services with TransPerfect. Do you have any questions on that? Discussion?
Madam Chair.
Trustee Cook?
I was curious what that TransPerfect, what is it a computer program? People?
Madam Chair, Trustee Cook, if I could invite Dr. Kern up to the podium, please.
Madam Chair, Trustee Cook, it is a company that provides a series of translation services. It could be in-person translators, it could be virtual translators. They also provide document translation. And this is particularly for our special education documents and meetings for families to be able to participate in the process.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? So we have a motion and a second to grant permission to contract for translation services with TransPerfect. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that passes.
Madam Chair, I move to grant permission to contract with, my goodness, Accenture Infrastructure and Capital Projects for owner representative services for the ARP Elementary School Replacement Facility in the amount not to exceed $336,931.
Second. So I have a motion and a second to grant permission to contract with Accenture Infrastructure and Capital Projects. Do we have any discussion or questions on this one? Okay, seeing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That has been approved as well. The next regular board meeting will be held on Monday, November 17th, 2025 at 6 p.m. The business of the district is now done. We have a motion to go into executive session.
Madam Chair, I move to go into executive session prior to adjournment for the purpose of possible student long-term suspensions, expulsions, personnel, and proposed litigation.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second to go into executive session at this time. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, we will adjourn to